Have you ever felt that moment of absolute clarity where everything in life made sense, only to wake up weeks later and realize that you have returned to the same place as always? Well, I have news that will bother a lot of people. Most of the spiritual experiences you've had to date were probably nothing more than temporary emotional peaks. I'm not saying this to discourage you, but because someone needs to have the courage to speak the unvarnished truth. And that truth is that 90% of people are confusing fleeting euphoria with real spiritual awakening. Here's the paradox that no one tells you. The more you seek awakening, the more distant you become from it. The more you try to force inner peace, the more agitated you become. It's like trying to catch a butterfly. If you run after it, it runs away. But if you keep quiet, it can land on your shoulder. The big question is, how do you differentiate a genuine experience of transformation from just another beautiful moment that will evaporate when life really tightens? In this content, I will reveal the 5 ultimate signs that your spiritual awakening is not temporary, it is permanent. And I warn you right away, these signs are not what you are expecting. They won't talk about levitating, seeing auras, or having mystical visions. They are subtle, deep, and unshakable markers that separate those who have really crossed the portal from those who are still just peeking through the window. If you recognize at least 3 of these signs in yourself, it means that something genuine is happening. If you don't recognize any, don't worry. You'll know exactly where you're standing and what needs to change. Truly expanded consciousness does not come with fireworks. It arrives silently, reorganizes your entire life from the inside out, and leaves you with an unshakable certainty that no external crisis can steal. Are you ready to find out if what you have is real or just another comfortable illusion? So comment below on number 5 if you want to discover these signs right now. You know that feeling that you've gone through moments of absolute clarity where everything made sense, but then, is everything confusing again? Well, you're not alone in this. The great truth that no one has the courage to talk about is that 9 out of 10 people are confusing emotional peaks with real spiritual awakening. It's like waking up in a lucid dream for a few seconds and thinking you've mastered the art of conscious dreaming. It sounds real, but it's just a passing glimpse. And the scariest thing about all of this, most are living on autopilot, sleeping awake, repeating patterns, thinking that they are evolving just because they read some books or did some guided meditations. Think with me, how many times have you felt that euphoria after a retreat, intense therapy, or a transformative experience, only to see it all fall apart weeks later? It's like when you leave the gym very motivated on the first day, full of plans, but in the second week you're back on the couch with the package of snacks. This emotional roller coaster is not real transformation. It is just a temporary frequency adjustment. True spiritual awakening doesn't disappear when life tightens. It doesn't depend on daily mantras to stay alive. And it definitely doesn't need motivational posts on Instagram to continue existing. The issue that few have the courage to face is that the expanded consciousness really bothers them. It doesn't come with fireworks, applause, or validation on social media. In fact, she often arrives silently, almost discreetly, and reorganizes her life from the inside out without asking permission. It's like when you learn to ride a bike. At first, it's conscious effort, fear, falling, but when the body really understands, you just pedal without thinking. Permanent awakening is like this. You no longer need to pretend, force, or convince yourself of anything. And here is the detail that separates those who are just strolling through spirituality from those who have actually gone through the portal. The definitive signs of a real transformation are not obvious. They don't appear in the form of superpowers or impressive mystical abilities. They are subtle, deep, and above all, unshakable in the face of the chaos of life. While most seek spectacular experiences, those who have truly awakened have already realized that the true revolution happens in the ordinary, in the simple act of breathing with total presence. There is a moment in the journey of spiritual awakening that is almost frightening because of its simplicity. You realize that you just don't care what others think anymore. It's not that teenage rebellion of "screw everyone," nor that forced motivational speech of self-help. It is something much deeper and quieter. It is the genuine absence of need. It's as if someone turned off a switch inside you that had been on all your life, the one that made you constantly check if you were being accepted, admired, or approved. Suddenly, the opinion of others becomes just that, an opinion, not a decree about its value. The difference between repressing the ego and transcending the ego is brutal, but few understand it. Repressing is when you force a humble posture, repeat positive affirmations in the mirror, and pretend you don't care. But inside, you are desperate for a compliment, for a like, for any crumb of recognition. It's like holding your breath underwater. You hold on for a while, but eventually you'll rise to the surface panting. Transcending the ego is when you just don't feel that voracious hunger for validation anymore. You can receive praise or criticism with the same tranquility with which you watch clouds pass by. Interesting, but not definitive. I've seen people who meditated 3 hours a day, frequented all the spiritual circles in the city, but it was enough for someone to question their choices for them to collapse emotionally. Do you know why? Because she was using spirituality as a new stage for ego performance, only now with linen and incense clothes. Royal transformation happens when you manage to receive devastating criticism, and instead of going into defense mode or falling apart, you simply observe if there is any truth there that can serve you. If there isn't, you thank them and move on. If there is, you integrate without drama. And here comes the test that never fails. When your inner peace stops depending on likes, titles, achievements, or the opinion of your family, something has really changed. It's not that you become insensitive or arrogant, quite the opposite. You become genuinely free to listen, consider, and even change your mind without feeling like you're losing your identity in the process. Expanded consciousness gives you this inner flexibility that seems paradoxical. You stand firm in your core values, but fluid in all that is superficial. And when this happens naturally, effortlessly, you start to notice other changes happening. Here is one of the most profound and least romanticized changes of spiritual awakening. Its relationship to suffering changes completely. It's not that life turns into a bed of roses where nothing else affects you. That's an illusion sold by coaches who have never crossed a real desert. The point is that pain stops being that terrifying monster that you spend your whole life trying to avoid and becomes a demanding but essential teacher. It's like the difference between a child who runs out of school because he doesn't want to study and an adult who chooses to do a difficult postgraduate degree because he knows he's going to grow up with it. Suffering continues to exist, but hysterical resistance to it simply disappears. Think about the last time you stubbed your toe on a piece of furniture. Physical pain is one thing, but that explosive anger, that whole drama, is pure resistance to what has already happened. Now imagine applying this principle to greater losses, breakups, bankruptcies, illnesses, betrayals. The pain that teaches you is the one that you feel fully, without running away, without numbing, without creating dramatic stories about what it means about you. Pain that paralyzes, on the other hand, is the pain that you deny, repress, disguise with excessive work, alcohol, toxic relationships, or any other available anesthetic. When you stop resisting, the pain runs through you like a wave, intense, but it passes and leaves lessons on the way. I met a woman who lost everything in a fire. House, documents, memories, everything. In the first few days, obviously, it was devastating. But something about her was different from most people who go through tragedies like this. She cried, felt, processed, but did not create a narrative of eternal victim. She told me something I have never forgotten. The fire took my things, but it showed me that I am not my things. I lost photographs, but I didn't lose the memories. I lost the house, but I didn't lose my ability to rebuild. This is true spiritual maturity. It's not toxic positivity. It's not denying suffering. It's having a mature relationship with it. The definitive signs that you have achieved this permanence appear in moments of crisis. As everyone around you panics, you feel the pressure, you feel the fear, you feel the uncertainty, but there's a part of you that remains serene, watching everything without drowning in the drama. It's like being in the eye of the hurricane. Everything is chaotic around you, but you're in a space of deep stillness. And do you know what happens when you develop this ability? Other things in your life start to reorganize themselves, including the people around you. One of the strangest and at the same time most liberating things that happens during the royal transformation is to realize that people start to leave your life without you having to make any dramatic moves. There is no epic confrontation, there is no farewell speech, there is no angry block on social networks. It's almost as if life is a radio station and you've changed frequencies. There's just no more tuning in with certain people. That friend who only complained and drained your energy, he stops looking for you. That toxic relationship you swore you could never end, it dissolves naturally, almost painlessly. It's scary at first because it feels like you're getting lonely, but you're really just making room for what really resonates with who you've become. The point is that when you raise your expanded consciousness, your vibration really changes. And this is not empty esoteric talk. It is basic physics applied to human relationships. Think of it this way. Have you ever tried to talk to someone who's completely drunk when you're sober? It seems that you are in different dimensions, right? This is exactly what happens spiritually. You are not better or worse than anyone else, but you are operating on a different frequency. Those shallow conversations about gossip, complaining, and drama no longer make sense. Those noisy and superficial environments start to tire you out quickly. It is not judgment, it is energy incompatibility. I went through this very intensely a few years ago. I had a group of friends for decades who suddenly started to drift apart. At first, there was that panic. Am I becoming boring, arrogant, weird? But over time, I realized that it was nothing like that. I just couldn't participate in those endless conversations about problems that no one wanted to solve, about other people's lives, about endless complaints. And the most curious thing, they also felt it. It wasn't anger. It was just natural distance. And do you know what happened? Other people started to appear in my life. People who wanted to talk about growth, about purpose, about real transformation. It was as if the universe automatically cleaned up my social agenda. But come here because I need to talk about something that no one prepares you for, spiritual grief. Yes, you will miss it. There will be days when you will want to go back to that comfort zone, those family relationships, even if toxic, because at least they were known. This grief is real and needs to be honored. It's not weakness to feel the loneliness of this transition. It's human. The definitive signs that your spiritual awakening is permanent also include this ability to go through grief without despairing, without rushing back to what no longer serves just because it is familiar. And when you accept this conscious loneliness, you discover something surprising about it. There is an abyssal difference between conscious loneliness and existential emptiness. And understanding this is one of the ultimate signs that your journey is real. Existential emptiness is that inner black hole that makes you desperately reach for anything to fill. Bad relationships, compulsive shopping, non-stop work, endless entertainment, anything that silences that silent cry of something's missing. Conscious loneliness, on the other hand, is completely different. You may be alone, you may even miss human connection, but there is an internal fullness that does not depend on anything external. It's like the difference between real hunger and anxiety about eating out of boredom. One comes from real need, the other comes from escape. When spiritual awakening becomes permanent, you develop this almost magical ability to stay with yourself without going into a tailspin. You can spend an entire weekend alone without having to turn on the TV, without scrolling through your cell phone feed frantically, without making plans just to avoid your own thoughts. You simply is, and that's fine. It's not that you become an antisocial hermit who hates people, quite the opposite. It's that you stop using others as anesthesia for your own company. People stop being emotional crutches and become genuine companions when they show up. I'll tell you something. For a long time in my life, I couldn't stay alone for 5 minutes without feeling that anguish rising. I needed music, conversation, any external stimulus. I thought I was outgoing, sociable. In fact, I was running away from myself. When I started to face this escape, in the first days of real silence, it was terrifying. Thoughts I had never processed, emotions I had pushed under the rug, it all came to the surface. But do you know what happened after I went through this discomfort? I discovered that there was an inner presence, a kind of silent companionship that was always there, waiting for me to stop running away so that I could reveal itself. Expanded consciousness brings you this paradoxical gift. You feel different from other people, a little out of place at times, but never lost. It's normal to feel a little alien when everyone around you is obsessed with things that no longer make sense to you. It can be lonely to realize that your conversations with most people have become superficial because you can no longer feign genuine interest in futility. But this loneliness is not empty. It is full of presence, of peace, of a deep connection to something greater than any human relationship could offer. And when you stabilize yourself in this filled solitude, you begin to notice that extraordinary things begin to happen so naturally that they almost go unnoticed. Here's something that will sound completely crazy to those who haven't tried it yet. When the real transformation happens, synchronicities stop being impressive coincidences and become Tuesday. You think of a person and they call you minutes later. You need an answer and casually opens a book on the exact page that talks about it. You feel like you have to avoid a certain path and find out later that you had an accident there. Those things that used to make you scream, "I can't believe it," now just make you smile internally and thank you. The supernatural has become its natural. It's not spiritual euphoria, it's not mania or psychosis. It's a fine-tuning with the flow of life that simply starts to operate in your day-to-day. Keen intuition is another one of those superpowers that are actually just you accessing capabilities that have always been there, but blocked by mental noise. Before, you made decisions based on endless pros and cons, mental spreadsheets, everyone's opinions. Now, you just know. You can't explain it logically, but there is a visceral certainty that guides you. And the most interesting thing, the more you trust this inner voice, the more accurate it becomes. It's like building a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. I've seen people make irrational decisions that changed their lives completely because they followed this internal knowledge, even when everyone around them thought it was crazy. And the demonstration? The manifestation is no longer that desperate effort to visualize, affirm, decree. You simply want something that aligns with your purpose and happens. Not in the way you planned many times, but in an even better way. I met a guy who urgently needed money for his mother's medical treatment. He didn't keep repeating mantras or doing crazy rituals. He just kept his intention clear, acted on what was within his reach, and out of nowhere, a job opportunity appeared that he didn't even know existed, paying exactly the amount he needed. Coincidence? For those who are sleeping, maybe. For those who have truly awakened, it's just life responding to the frequency you emit. But here's the detail that separates permanence from temporariness. These little miracles don't make you euphoric. They don't become a subject for you to go around telling everyone looking for validation. They bring a radiant serenity, a quiet confidence that you are exactly where you need to be, doing what you need to do. The ultimate signs of true spiritual awakening include this unwavering calm in the face of what others would call extraordinary. You don't need to prove anything. Post it on social media. Write a book about your mystical experiences. You just live, flow, trust. And that confidence leads you to the most important question of all, the one that will reveal once and for all whether what you have is real or just a passing moment. Now comes the question that no one wants to answer honestly, but that reveals everything. Could you lose absolutely everything and still maintain your inner peace? And when I say everything, it's really everything. Money, house, relationships, health, reputation, status, achievements. If tomorrow you woke up from scratch with nothing of what you built, without anyone by your side, without the external references that define you today, what would be left? That question is not comfortable, I know. She pokes right where it hurts, but it is in it that the brutal difference between those who are truly awake and those who are just wandering through temporary spiritual experiences resides. Royal transformation doesn't make you immune to the chaos of life. It makes you unshakable in the face of it. I'll be direct with you. Permanent spiritual awakening is not a magic shield against suffering. You will feel pain when you lose someone you love. You will feel fear in the face of the unknown. You'll feel frustrated when things don't go as planned. The difference is that these emotions will no longer kidnap you. They will no longer define who you are. They will no longer make you question everything you have built internally. It is like the difference between a tree that sways violently in the storm and one that sways, but its roots remain firmly in the ground. Both feel the wind, but only one is at risk of being uprooted. I met a businessman who had everything: millionaire companies, structured family, respect in the community. In a brutal sequence of events, he lost almost everything in a matter of months: bankruptcy, divorce, estrangement from his children, health problems. I met him a year later and expected to see a man destroyed. Do you know what I saw? Someone at peace. Not a feigned peace, not a defeated resignation, but a genuine serenity. He told me, "I lost everything I thought defined me, and I discovered that I am still me. In fact, I discovered who I really am for the first time." This is truly expanded consciousness. It is not the absence of losses, it is the permanence of essence, even when everything external collapses. So I ask you again, in all sincerity, could you do it? Because if the answer is, "I'm not sure," or "I don't think so," that's okay. It means you're being honest and that there's still a way to go. But if there's a part of you, even a small one, that answers, "Yes, I could," then, my friend, you've experienced the ultimate signs of something that most people will never touch. Permanent awakening doesn't make you unbeatable, it makes you unshakable. There is a crucial difference there, and if you have come this far, recognizing these signs in you, then something much greater is wanting to reveal itself through your life. So after everything you have seen here, answer me sincerely. How many of these signs have you recognized in yourself? 1, 3, all 5, or none? And more importantly, what are you going to do with that information now? Because one thing I guarantee you, knowledge without application is just spiritual entertainment. It's another video that you watched, liked, and forgot in 2 hours. Real transformation only happens when you stop consuming content and start living what you've learned. Here's the challenge I leave for you. For the next 7 days, watch yourself. Watch your reaction when someone criticizes you. Watch what you do when an unexpected problem arises. See if you can be alone with yourself without needing distraction. Notice if the people around you still drain your energy, or if you've already created natural boundaries. These signs don't appear overnight. They reveal themselves in everyday life, in the small reactions, in the choices you make when no one is looking. And tell me something. Are you willing to lose everything to gain yourself? Because that is the price of permanent spiritual awakening. I'm not talking about literally losing, I'm talking about letting go of attachment, the desperate need for control, the illusion that you are your external achievements. Do you have the courage to discover who you are when you take off all the masks, all the titles, all the validations? Or do you still prefer the comfort zone of a lukewarm spirituality that doesn't demand anything from you? Expanded consciousness is calling you. Not through expensive retreats, enlightened gurus, or fancy techniques. It is calling you through your own life, your relationships, your daily challenges. The question is, will you answer, or will you hit snooze again? If you've made it this far, if something has resonated inside you, then subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Because in the next videos, I'm going to dive even deeper into these topics that no one has the courage to talk about. Let's go together on this journey of real awakening. No illusions, no frills, just the naked truth that truly transforms.